What if Ash started with Charmander, part 2? If you haven't watched the first part, do it. Or don't, I can't control you. Our newly formed trio make their way to Cerulean City. Ash is incredibly angry. Giselle asks Ash why the sign made him so angry. We flash back to a sign, which reads, Gary was here, Ash is a loser. Ash's mood stays sour until he sees another sign, which reads, Nugget Ridge Challenge. Ash's mood swings, as now he's fired up. He tells his companions that he'd like to challenge the Nugget Bridge Challenge. With no reason to protest, Ash's companions allow it. However, when Ash goes to the bridge, all of the trainers are knocked out. Ash is confused until a trainer tackles him. Ash realises that this was his childhood companion Green, and introduces her to his new companions. Green is excited to see how Red's doing. Giselle asks why Green is calling Ash Red. The raven-haired boy replies saying it's a long story. Green quickly challenges Ash to a 2-on-2 battle, an offer which the Pallet native accepts. Green sends out her first partner Ivysaur, while Ash, having some idea of type matchups, sends out his first partner Charmander. The honey-haired youth immediately calls for a Razor Leaf. However, the raven-haired boy dodges with Smokescreen. Green tells her Grassy Lizard to keep it up. Giselle is confused how this girl defeated all the trainers on the Nugget Bridge, when suddenly the smokescreen clears. This shocks everyone, but the victor of the bridge, who says that by using Razor Leaf, the wind would push the smoke away. This makes the raven-haired boy nervous, until Charmander gives him a sign. Green might be strong, but he'll work with his Pokemon to be stronger. This leads to the boy calling for an Ember, which lands. This shocks Green, as most trainers don't even land a hit on her. However, rather than be distraught, this just makes the girl far more excited. She orders for a Vine Whip, which Ivysaur is ready to execute, but Green tells the dinosaur to pull Charmander, then run into it with a takedown. As Charmander gets pulled, Ash calls for a Scratch, hoping to use the same pull force which Ivysaur is using to strengthen his Scratch. The two Pokemon collide. An intense gust of wind passes both Pokemon, and despite what the type matchup would say, Ivysaur is the one that stays standing. The Pallet native sends out Clefairy, as Green recalls her Ivysaur. Ash questions the girl on this. Here she says that she wants her other Pokemon to get some experience on a more competent trainer. The honey-haired youth sends out Mankey, who seems to be angry that this pink fluff ball is staring it down, so charges. Ash tells Clefairy to dodge or do anything. The fairy does as it's told, actually being able to outpace Mankey. After a while, the Mount Moon native taunts Mankey, which makes the Pokemon go even faster and stronger with rage. Ash calls for a double slap, but rather than do it on Mankey, it does it on the raven-haired youth. Ash is annoyed, and this gets worse when Mankey kicks him with a mega kick. Ash screams in pain. Green scolds Mankey, telling him to apologise to Ash. Mankey does this, then looks at Clefairy, who's mocking him more. Mankey lunges full force at the pink puffball. Clefairy thought he could escape. However, this is proven wrong when he gets tackled by the pig monkey into the lake. The two trainers look down as their Pokemon are drifting down the stream. Green lands from the bridge onto some land. Right before she lands, she sends out Ivysaur to make sure she's safe by holding her with some vines. Ash tries to do this, but misses the part of having a Pokemon help him, so lands on his head. Green yells at Red, saying if he keeps this up, he won't be able to make it to the Pokemon League finals with her. Here the two promise the next time they meet, they'll have a 3-on-3 battle. Ash is surprised that the girl thinks so highly of him, as the two walk down, looking for their Pokemon. After a while, they notice something. The water seems to be becoming more purple. The raven-haired youth recognises this as something similar from his battle against Giselle. However, it seems quite distant, as the water is far more gloopy. The two go to the originator of the sludge, which ends up being a wild muck. The honey-haired youth hastily sends out her Growlithe. The raven-haired boy follows in suit, sending out his Beedrill. The muck immediately goes for the sludge on Beedrill. Beedrill, resisting the attack, doesn't take much damage. Ash orders for a Fury attack, which Beedrill does. The muck seemingly takes no damage from the attack. Ash is getting frustrated. Green has her loyal companion use flamethrower. However, the muck contorts around the attack, leading it to do nothing. The raven-haired youth recalls his Beedrill before sending out Pidgey. Quickly, he calls for his bird to use Quick Attack. This doesn't faze the power of Sludge. He unleashes some of its most potent sludge on the bird. This direct hit is enough to knock the little bird out. Ash recalls Pidgey and sends out his Beedrill. Green isn't having any luck landing hits. However, rather than getting angry like Ash did, the girl only gets more and more excited. Beedrill is used as a defensive barrier against the sludge attacks, due to resisting them. Meanwhile, Growlithe goes in for hits. That is until Ash sees Clefairy and Green's Mankey. Ash tells Beedrill to use String Shot on the duo to pull them here. This makes Green laugh, as Red is using her tactics to become stronger, as by using a pull technique with String Shot, the boy is able to get both of the Pokemon safe. However, as the boy does this, a crucial B-shaped hole is left in the Fire Puppy's defense, and so he takes a bombardment of sludge attacks, which knocks the Pokemon out. Ash recalls Clefairy, and the honey-haired youth recalls her Mankey and Growlithe. Green is thinking about what she should do next, when a peculiar idea comes to her head. She'd rather not do it, but it seems like her hand has been forced, as she throws a Pokeball at the muck. This catches the Pokemon. Ash and Green try to head back, but they are stopped by Giselle, Brooke, and some guy the two have never met. The guy introduces himself as Bill, and says he was investigating the sludge in the water for a while now, but he got stuck to a tree, which these lovely folks helped me out of. Ash and Green tell the man the situation is under control. The honey-haired youth shows the man a Pokeball. Bill is shocked, but because these guys did his job of dealing with the muck, and more by relocating it, he gives the group 3 tickets to the SS Anne. However, warns the girl that this muck was most likely released by a trainer, and won't be trusting of humans. The researcher then apologises for only having 3 tickets to the SS Anne. Ash isn't that interested, but Giselle is telling both of the Pallet Town youths that the SS Anne is a luxury cruise liner. Ash and Green don't really care about that, but Ash just accepts it to not drag the conversation out. The quartet go to the Pokemon Center, where they hand their Pokemon to Nurse Joy. The area is filled with Pokemon, but Ash and Green tell the nurse that they've stopped the muck problem, so there shouldn't be many more problems for her. Ash, realising there will be a long wait, tries to go to the gym. The other 3 follow him. However, Giselle trips on the bunch of Pokemon, leading to a Pokeball rolling out of her bag. A Psyduck pecks the Pokeball. Giselle screams as she accidentally catches the little yellow duck. The quartet make their way to the gym, as Green needs her Pokemon to be healed. Ash asks Green who's going to go first. Green chuckles, saying she's already got the badge. This leaves the raven-haired youth shocked as he enters the gym. The gym is a massive pool with a few small platforms. As Ash goes to the middle of the field, he sees 3 girls. The girls apologise, saying that Ash won't be able to have a battle, as they only have 1 weak seal left. That is until they see Green. They ask Ash if he helped in the muck situation. Ash honestly replies yes. The trio hand him the badge, saying that they gave the city a service, so they're willing to give him the badge. Ash accepts this, feeling a bit down. With the second badge, he's about to walk out, when an orange-haired girl meets him. She yells at her sisters to stop handing out 3 badges. The trio reply that it's for something else, but the fiery girl from Cerulean won't accept it, and challenges Ash to a battle. Feeling happy that he gets a battle, Ash accepts with joy. Ash starts off with his injured Beedrill, as Misty sends out her Poliwag. Immediately, Misty takes the first move, telling her Tadpole to use a double slap. Ash tells his Beedrill to counter with a Twin Needle. The 2 attacks collide, but the bug easily overpowers the little water creature, knocking it out. Misty, annoyed, sends out her Staryu. She calls for a water gun. However, the injured bug dodges, before the raven-haired boy orders a string shot. This encases Staryu in a cage of silk. Ash calls for a Twin Needle, which ends the match. Misty begrudgingly allows Ash to leave. Ash and company go to the Pokemon Center, where they get their newly healed Pokemon back, as Green separates from the group to go on her own adventure. We cut to midday as our trio decide to take a break. Rock tells Giselle that now might be a good time to work on her Pokemon. They go to the riverbank, so Giselle can send out her water-type Pokemon. Giselle sends out her team of Sandshrew and Psyduck. Rock asks where Vaporeon is. Giselle, embarrassed, admits that she never owned it, but rather is borrowing it from the school. Rock tells the girl it's fine, as when they start it's better to have less Pokemon than more. Ash sees this as boring, so decides to explore, where he starts to hear some fighting. Ash rushes to the originator of the noise, as he sees a tent which says, AJ's Pokemon Gym, 99 wins, 0 losses. And in a small font it says, not associated with the Pokemon League. The raven-haired youth enters the battlefield, where the green-haired youth is waiting for him. Ash asks the boy who he is. The boy asks Ash if he can read, as he introduces himself as AJ, the owner of this tent. Ash asks the boy how many badges he's got. AJ tells the boy that he has none, because he's going for 100 wins without a single loss before he starts collecting badges. Ash laughs at this, showing his case of 2 badges to AJ. AJ challenges Ash to 3 one-on-one battles, with the winner being decided based on who has the most total wins. Ash accepts this offer. The two go on either ends of the battlefield as the match begins. Ash immediately sends out Pidgey, while AJ in turn sends out his Nidoran. AJ orders his little rabbit to use Poison Sting. The poisonous barbs deal major damage to Pidgey. Ash tells his Skyborn to fly up and use Gust. The bird does as it's told, flapping its wings, unleashing a veil of air. This hurts Nidoran. AJ tells Nidoran to use another Poison Sting. The Pokemon does as it's told, sending the barbs into the air. Ash calls for a Gust, which sends the Poison Sting back at Nidoran. AJ is impressed, as while Ash might be way too egotistical for his skill level, he is still a pretty decent trainer. AJ orders his Nidoran to use a double kick on the fence. Ash is confused until Nidoran starts ascending rapidly. Ash orders a quick attack, which Ash's first capture executes with haste. AJ tells his Nidoran to counter with Horn Attack. The two attacks collide. Both Pokemon fall out the air, but when they hit the ground, Nidoran is the one that stays standing. The first round goes to AJ. The raven-haired boy from Pallet gets annoyed, as he sends out his Beedrill. AJ recalls his Nidoran before sending out his Butterfree. Both trainers issue a command of String Shot, which their bugs do. This leads to a tie in power. Ash commands a Poison Sting to clip Butterfree's wings. However, the butterfly counters with Psybeam. This destroys all the Poison Stings. Ash commands Beedrill to go up close and attack with a Fury Attack. This hits Butterfree's wings, sending the Pokemon to the floor. Ash tells Beedrill to finish it with another Fury Attack, but Butterfree counters with Gust. This pushes the bee back. Ash gets an idea to order Beedrill to dive bomb Butterfree while spinning. The floored bug tries to use a Gust, but due to Beedrill spinning, the attack goes through, landing a finishing Fury Attack. Ash wins the second round, tying up the battle. AJ, with far more respect for Ash, sends out his Ace Machop. Ash is about to send out his Charmander, but Clefairy comes out instead. AJ tells Machop to go in for a Mega Punch. Machop goes in for one, but Clefairy is able to dodge. This goes on for a while, with Machop trying to attack Clefairy, but the pink pixie being able to dodge. Clefairy taunts Machop as he fails time after time. This angers the Pokemon to the point of evolution. Machoke comes in. Clefairy tries to jump over him, but due to how much bigger Machoke is, fails. The angry fighting lizard punches Clefairy with a Mega Punch. This knocks Clefairy out, making AJ the winner of this battle. Ash and AJ shake hands, with AJ promising to battle Ash in the league once he gets the badges. Ash walks back to the group, where he hears Brock and Giselle cheering. Ash asks the group what happened, but Brock tells Ash that if he wants to know, him and Giselle have to battle. Ash, always eager for a battle, accepts, as he sends out all his Pokemon to watch. However, Clefairy seems quite distant. Brock asks Ash what happened to Clefairy. The boy from Pallet replies he lost against a trainer once his Machop evolved. Brock gets the Moonstone out of his bag before offering it to Clefairy, telling the fairy if he touches the stone, it will be able to become strong like Machoke. Clefairy slaps the Moonstone out of the ex-gym leader's hands. Tangela tries to talk to the Pokemon, but their chemistry is completely different. This makes Brock realise that the Clefairy Ash caught wasn't the same one they saved from Team Rocket. Rather, it was a different one, which was different to the rest of its group. Ash is shocked to learn this and realises he's going to support Clefairy in its dreams to become the world's strongest Clefairy. Giselle comes and tells Ash that she's ready for the battle. Immediately she sends out Psyduck. This confuses Ash, so he sends out Beedrill, who's still tired from earlier. Ash calls for a Twin Needle from Beedrill. This attack lands on Psyduck's head. Giselle laughs as Psyduck's eyes glow blue. A psychic aura envelops Beedrill. Confusion, Giselle calls coldly, as Beedrill gets sent flying by Psyduck. String Shot, Ash yells. The bug unleashes a line of string. This connects to Psyduck, who goes flying with Beedrill. Psyduck falls into the water and starts struggling. Giselle recalls Psyduck with a sigh, and Ash does the same, as Beedrill needs some rest. Giselle sends out her Sandshrew, so Ash in turn sends out his Charmander. Ash tells Giselle that last time Charmander beat Sandshrew, so what makes this different? Giselle giggles, telling Ash that things will be different now. She's certain of it. Ash orders Charmander to unleash a flurry of embers at Sandshrew, but Giselle orders a swift counter. The attacks collide, causing some sand to pick up. When the sand subsides, Sandshrew goes missing? Ash is confused until the ground underneath Charmander breaks. Sandshrew attacks Charmander with Dig. Before Ash can react, Sandshrew starts digging again. Ash quickly calls for the smokescreen, which Charmander does, but Sandshrew is able to land another dig on Charmander. Ash asks Giselle how Sandshrew was able to hit Charmander through the smokescreen. The girl replies that Sandshrew detects vibration, as underground you can't see anything above you. Ash gets an idea, as he tells his fire lizard to rush next to the lake. The fire lizard is weary, but trusting his trainer, he listens and faces his fear and stands near the body of water. Giselle tells Sandshrew to attack Charmander, but rather resurfaces at the top of the lake, knocked out. Giselle asks Ash how he did that, and Ash says that by staying near the lake, Sandshrew would have a high chance of getting pushed in or digging into the lake. Giselle is shocked as the mystery of Ash Ketchum still escapes her. The trio make their way into the Million City, where Ash is eager to have a proper battle against the gym leader. Brock seems a bit hesitant, but as Ash and Giselle walk off without him, so he's forced to keep up. The group go into the gym, where they see a towering man waiting for them. The man looks at the raven-haired boy before chuckling, asking if he really thinks he can beat him. The passionate boy from Pallet tells the man that he will beat him. However, the leader ignores this, asking what Brocco is doing here. Brock just grunts. Ash challenges Surge to a battle, which the man accepts. Surge sends out Raichu, while Ash sends out his Charmander. Immediately, Ash calls for a smokescreen, which Charmander does. Surge just laughs as he calls up for a body slam and tells Raichu to aim for Charmander's tail flame. Raichu jumps into the air before flattening Charmander. This knocks the fire lizard out. Ash is shocked as he picks Charmander up. He rushes to the Pokemon Center. Nashjoy takes one look at Charmander before getting worried. She rushes Charmander into an emergency room. Ash feels like a failure. How did he lose so badly? Giselle and Brock are able to catch up to Ash. Ash stays silent. After what feels like an eternity, Nashjoy comes out of the room, saying that Ash can come into the room. However, when he does, he sees Charmander in a bed with a bunch of monitors on him. Giselle looks worried, but Brock tells Ash that there was no chance he could beat Surge. Ash asks what Brock means. He thought every trainer had a weakness. Brock replies Every trainer does have a weakness, but you simply don't have enough power to beat Surge. Surge trained me. I understand his power. You don't. Ash is shocked as Brock and Giselle leave. The raven-haired boy sits on the floor, his own thoughts consuming him, until, from his belt, Beedrill comes out. The bug sends out all of Ash's other Pokemon, before going to Charmander. Ash watches as the bug talks to the fire lizard. Ash's first partner gets out of his bed. He stands up. Beedrill goes up to Ash, saying things. While the raven-haired boy doesn't understand Beedrill's language, he can understand his spirit. So, he recalls all his Pokemon before going outside. He starts doing some training, but Charmander can't keep up. It's way too exhausted for that. Ash continues to no results until Brock comes up to the boy. He decides to help Ash train, as we jump to Giselle. She's waiting outside of the Vermilion Gym, waiting for her two companions. Until after a while, Ash and Brock walk up looking exhausted. Giselle asks Ash what he was doing, but Ash tells the girl not to worry, she'll see in the match. The trio enter the gym. The group meets Surge, who asks Ash if he really thinks he can win this rematch. Ash says he doesn't think he can. He knows he can. Surge tells the spunky kid to bring it on. Ash sends out Charmander, as Surge sends out Raichu. Surge wonders how much better Charmander could be in such a short amount of time. Ash immediately calls for the smoke screen, which Charmander does. Surge tells Raichu to aim for the tail flame with a body slam. Raichu looks for the tail flame but can't see it and lands on its face. The smoke clears and Charmander is in front of the grown electric rodent. Surge is confused how Charmander dodged the attack, but doesn't pay much mind to it. When Raichu stands up, Charmander is on the other side of the battleground. The fire lizard uses a smokescreen, as Raichu uses a mega punch, aiming for the tail flame. However, like before, Raichu can't see the tail flame and misses. The fire lizard attacks Raichu with an ember. This doesn't deal much damage, but it ticks Raichu off. Ash's first partner uses another mega kick, aiming for the tail flame, but like always, he can't see and trips, and Charmander doesn't appear. However, Surge realizes something. Raichu didn't trip on nothing. He tripped on a hole. Brock taught the kid how to use Dig. How cute. Surge tells Ash he knows his secret, so the boy is going to lose this match. But Ash asks the man if he knows why he didn't use Dig from the beginning to attack Raichu. Surge, confused, didn't know why, so asks Ash. The boy from Pallet replies, because Surge knows the timing of Dig from training with Brock, he knew he had to wear Raichu out so that the timing would be slightly off. Surge takes this deal, telling Raichu to feel the vibrations and knock Charmander out with a body slam as soon as it resurfaces. Raichu feels it and goes in for a body slam, a second too early, so that Charmander resurfaces with a critical hit Dig being dealt to Raichu. This knocks the electric mouse out. Surge laughs. Ash proved himself and won the match by training. He hands the boy the Thunder Badge. Ash won. He beat Surge, and now Charmander was stronger than ever. Alright, and that's a wrap. Like and subscribe if you want part 3. Comment any questions, ideas, or even Pokemon you think could fit Ash's team. So yeah,